Are you depressed? Can't seem to find the urge to get out of bed? Too many thoughts constantly racing through your mind, making it near impossible to sleep? Well, you're probably just dealing with something stressful, but truth is, pharmaceutical companies need to continue driving expensive cars and buying first-rate hookers. With that being said, this antidepressant might do something for your symptoms, but we seriously doubt it. 100% of some of the people who tried this drug saw multiple negative results. Side effects may include increased thoughts of suicide, attempts at suicide, watching movies about suicide, listening to emo music in the darkest corner of your room with the lights off, writing depressing poetry, lack of appetite, gain of appetite, loss of sleep, also sleeping too much, walking dead zombie breath, stinky feet, broken nails, lawsuits, psychotic breakdowns, death penalty, social stigmas, anger issues, financial issues, social issues, the bubble guts, constant fatigue, irrational bouts of energy, getting catfish, homosexuality, heterosexuality, bisexuality, trisexuality, the liking of big butts without the cause of denial, anal seepage, erectile dysfunction, erections lasting more than 4 hours, disconnect with the outside world, and a lost direction in life. If you're feeling like the platinum roasted tuella is right for you, then you may have more issues than just your depression. You should really reconsider what you put in your body. But if you feel like this may help you, you should consult with someone whose IQ is higher than a politician's. Remember, sometimes you just have a bad day, and that's no cause for bipolar diagnosis and antidepressant medication. I should probably wrap this up because I see our budget is getting cut. So remember, if you believe the platinum roasted tuella is right for you, consult with your physician before doing such a ridiculous thing.
Welcome to my talk show. 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 And we're on live.
Yo, what it do though? Welcome back to episode 2 of Controversial Conversation, Controversially Speaking. I am your host, Jizzle the Jokester. And guess what, y'all? We ain't get deplatformed! We still here. And it feels great, not gonna lie. Cause looks like they've been chopping people's pages and YouTube accounts and stuff by the dozen. Twitter accounts, Facebook accounts. But look, we here and we ain't going nowhere. And honestly, man, I'm trying to push through some stuff. You see, on the outside, man, personally, I'm dealing with some stuff. Some heavy shit. It just, my mind, man, it's really been going through it lately. But in all honesty, I can't afford to allow that to slow me down because this right here, this is our time. So, with that being said, we got a show to get into. And we had a couple questions come into the show, and I thought it'd be best to address them personally. So, Dominique from Augusta, Georgia, writes in and asks, why don't you stop bobbing your head from side to side looking like an idiot? Good question. To be honest with y'all, man, I'm nervous. When you really care about what you're trying to say or how you're trying to say it, or even about the people you're trying to say it to, it's hard, man, to just look into this camera and tell y'all how I truthfully feel about certain stuff. Even though I truthfully feel about them the way that I do, or I'm as passionate about them. I care about it. I could easily just write a script and be like, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, and just give y'all some, recited bullshit. But I feel like when it's personal, when it truthfully matters to you, you feel a certain way about it, and when you try to express it, sometimes it doesn't always come out, or sometimes you're doing other things like moving my hands around, moving my head around, eyes rolling back. Look, it's all a learning process, baby, I promise. Y'all keep sticking with me, and man, eventually I'm gonna figure this thing out. And we gonna really rock. But I thank you, Dominique, for that. And Chantel from Columbus, Georgia, writes in and asks, why you got the Kevin Durant BB head thing going on? Shit ain't cute, bruh. You got me. I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, man, my stuff been looking rough lately. But to be honest with you, it's depression. You see, depression does things to you. it makes taking a shower a chore, you know? It makes eating one of the most difficult tasks in the world. And it really becomes a struggle to just take care of yourself. So things like getting a haircut, man, it's so easy to just brush it aside. And that's what I've been doing. I've been fighting through depression. And that's honestly the first thing that I really want to talk about on this show. There's a few things, obviously, as in every show, we're going to have a few segments, but mental health, depression. I know these are things that we would rather not talk about, or these are things that we feel that since we experience on a daily, we don't need to talk about. But look, man, we got to talk. We have to talk. Earlier this week, I had a breakdown. And by the grace of the people around me, my support system, I was able to bounce back. Not everybody is as lucky as I was. Not everybody has a best friend like I do, a mother like I do, a caring friend like I do. Not everybody has someone to check on them, to ask if they're okay, to truthfully care for them. But I do. I've been selfish by allowing my anger and my emotions to get the best of me and to take it out on the ones that are nearest. But I also have to recognize that that is depression. And depression manifests in so many different ways. We tend to think it's just being sad, you know, or I'll be alright. You know, it is what it is. I'm just feeling something. And then the snowball effect happens. You know, one thing triggers it. And then it's a gun range, you know? It's just pow, 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 pow. You can't stop shooting. Everything, every thought that comes to you is a deeper and deeper and deeper form of negativity that just manifests deeper within you and just explodes. And that is a form of depression. But we don't think about that form of depression. We think about, as I said earlier, just being sad. You know, just feeling bad. But it's so much deeper than that. For me personally, it's irritable fits. It's worthlessness. It's purposelessness. Purposelessness. Is that a word? Feeling like you have no purpose, even as somebody such as myself who doesn't believe there's meaning, but to feel like you have no worth in anything. You know, like just anger, anxiety, stress, fear. I feel these all the time. I feel these all day long. Fear of never living up to what I believe in my mind I could be. Fear of disappointing the ones who have always been there for me. Fear of just not knowing anything. Fear of the unknown, man. Just fear. We allow fear to take over. And when we do, it manifests in so many different forms that by the time we think we have a grasp on it, it's already something else. And I know I've just been really going on a tangent, really, about how I feel about my mental health. So what I would rather do is kind of get into how I feel about mental health as a whole. But like I said, my personal issues, though they still cloud me at this current moment, they don't deserve our attention. So what I'm gonna do is focus on this little bit of time that me and you have and have a little controversial conversation. And I'll be right back. Yeah. Yeah, without a doubt, man. I would have to say that mental health and taking care of it is probably the most important thing that you can do for yourself. Truthfully. Losing your mind is probably the saddest thing that I can think of. The second saddest thing that I can think of is something we'll talk about in a little bit. But as far as mental health, and mental health in the black community as a whole, look, y'all, I love y'all. Black people, I love y'all. I do, to the bottom of my heart. But we gotta stop acting like it's just gonna be alright. You know what I'm saying? Like, we gotta stop acting like depression is just being sad. We gotta stop acting like these aren't real issues that we're going through. There's a big problem. Depression runs so deep in so many African Americans, and yet we refuse to acknowledge it. The stigma, I believe, it tends to be the number one thing. You know, we stigmatize mental health as a weakness. We look at it as, if we can't handle this, then we're just being weak. You know, we had to do it this way before, so we're just needing to be stronger now. We just gotta fight through it. Come on, my G. It is what it is. You gonna be alright? Nah, man. You might not be alright. And you'll never know if you're gonna be alright until you actually go get some help to figure out what the fuck is going on. Like I said, man, depression, it will manifest in so many ways, y'all. It's not just, yo, bro, man, you know, I just ain't been feeling it today, dog. You know, I just been looked down, man. Nah, bro. It is a complex mental disorder, okay? It's literally your mind fighting within itself to create realities that seem to be completely true to you, but are just the most pessimistic versions of anything you can think of. It warps your mind into believing that you are worthless. It makes you honestly believe that there is no hope, there's nothing to look forward to, there's no reason to continue going on. And this is just one of the mental disorders. There are so many out here. And there are so many of us out here running around without proper help. Now, I'm not trying to be preachy, because in all honesty, I need help just as much, if not more, than anybody. What I'm doing is trying to help, like people have helped me. So, a couple things. I wanted to make this a real short segment. I did not want to harp and harp and harp on depression and things of that nature, because there's a very sad topic that I really, really need to discuss coming up. But other than that, I just want to, I guess, leave it with a few words. One, in the description, I have left the National Suicide Prevention Hotline number. If you, I mean this, y'all. If you really want to take your life, please talk to somebody first. Please do that. I promise you, there's one thing on this place that's still worth being here for. I also left in the description the OMP email account or address. If y'all just want to personally talk to me about what you're going through, you just need someone to bounce something off of, then reach out, because we care about y'all. And there's just too many people who have taken themselves out, and there's too many people who have been left to sit here and wonder if it was something they did, if it was something they could have done differently. And I'm not blaming you. I'm not blaming you at all. It's not your fault. This isn't your fault, is what I'm trying to get at. But we have got to do better. And we have got to recognize that there's a problem. That's the first step, admitting it. And then we need to start working on more solutions. We need to start seeking help. So like I said, I've left those 2 things in the description. Please, please reach out. Real quick, there's one last thing that I do actually want to talk about when it comes to mental health. And that's conditioning. You see, I don't think we truthfully understand how we're conditioned. But it's the way that we actually see things for how they are or how we are. Because that's it. We see things for how we are, maybe not necessarily for how they are. So, instead of trying to get philosophical and profound and all that kind of nonsense, I'd rather hit my boy up and just do a little piece for y'all. So, without further ado, I present to you Jizzle, the Joester. Leg up. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I go by Jizzle the Joester. Some of y'all might know me as Michael Christopher Jones. And tonight, I want to do a special little piece for y'all. It's called Conditioned. You see, black is bad. White is good. White is rich. Black is hood. White, that's light. Black, that's darkness. And this applies to everything in life. So I've been led to believe, fed to believe, because you see, ever since I could breathe, I've been fed to believe that because of this black skin, there's a monster inside of me. A raging beast addicted to sex, violence, and smoking weed. At least that's how I saw me on the TV screen. You see, I ain't know blacks could be philosophers, scientists, and intellectuals. Because I never saw them in my history book. All I knew was slave ships, chain bracelets, and house slaves having to cook. They told me I was a crook, a burglar, a thief in the night. Then told me anything was possible. But I never believed the hype. Because you see, for me, only way I thought I could achieve was for me to be white. See, y'all know what that's like. Praying to your oppressor that your chains are getting severed. But they just say stay patient and wait for heaven. And you had a black president. So why aren't you happy? I said, because he ain't natural. And I like my leaders nappy. Might sound ignorant, but it is what it is. I've just been conditioned to think like a kid. So I live in a crib, drink out a bottle while I'm chasing a tit. And I'm only funny when I'm performing a skit. You only hear me when I'm making a hit. Other than that, they saying don't trip. We've been good to you. So why treat us like this? Then empathy hits. As we reminisce about the things that we miss, they recondition us to once again believe in the myth. The myth can be religion or maybe superstition, whatever tactics to use to keep the mind inside a prison. Then repeat the process until all the time is finished. And there's no way I can control it. All I can do is watch and listen. So don't blame me. It's just the way I've been conditioned. Yeah. There's something I want to talk about. So it's like, I don't know. Every few weeks, America will sit down and, watch the same thing on Netflix. Y'all remember it was like Bird Box at one time, and then it was like that Ted Bundy nonsensical bullshit. Well, recently it seems like America has decided to take a seat and put their feet into the shoes of the black community and watch a very chilling, disheartening, demoralizing, and downright just tragic docuseries entitled When They See Us. Now, I don't really want to get too deep into what the story's about because it upsets people too much to really even think about that. I want to talk about the discussion we're going to have after we've seen this now. After it's no longer hidden. After it's in our faces that we know that there is a blatant discrepancy in the way that the justice system handles people. And that discrepancy is normally due to a racial context. These 5 men that were at the time 5 boys lost 4 to 14 years of their lives for a crime that they never committed due to a justice system that wasn't seeking justice but retribution. We have to understand that this justice system is broken. It is. We know it is. We've been speaking about it for decades, but now that it's in everybody's face, the only question is, what are we going to do about it? Why are we this way? That's a serious question. Why do we stand and try to hold our heads high and proud like we are the greatest nation when we are suffering at a point we've never suffered before? I'm not saying for black people, I'm saying for all of us. Because for black people, there was a time that we suffered a lot fucking more. I'm not gonna lie, yeah. We definitely suffered a lot fucking more. But what I'm trying to say is, if we know our past and we still refuse to rectify it, then why are we expecting to have a better future? Why do we honestly believe that by doing the same things that have led us to the same demise is somehow gonna magically change and become the path to salvation? How fucking stupid is that? Okay, we have too many examples of people getting off for the same crimes that others are spending a lifetime in jail for. Where is the justice in this justice system? I'm serious. Where is it? Sure, they got a settlement for $41 million, but how do you get your life back? You don't. How do you ever try to figure out a way to get back on track? To have this not plague you for the rest of your life? Like, the fear. I said I wasn't talking for black Americans, but right now I am. The fear that we feel every day of not knowing if we're going to either lose our lives to death or to prison for anything other than we didn't have the right representation, we were in the wrong place, we look like somebody else. There's just so many reasons for why we have to feel an extra level of anxiety, of fear, every time we leave our house, every time we ride in our cars, every time we look over our shoulders, we feel like somebody is there. This is the life of an African American, a free one at that. Because so many others are just locked up. There is a school to prison pipeline that we don't speak about. But if you do read Michelle Alexander's book, you will actually start to understand. You'll piece it together. You'll see that this system that we've been led to believe is blind and is fair and is just looking out for the best interests of justice or law is really just a fucking sham. So I ask you again, to the ones who were able to actually stomach this Netflix documentary, yeah, the ones that were able to actually get through it. Don't think I haven't been going through the comment threads on Facebook and Reddit and everything and seeing the people who are like, man, it was bad, I couldn't get through it. Yeah, think about that. Think about the people who had to live through it, and think about the people who feared that it could happen to their children just because of what their children look like. Y'all couldn't even get through the documentary, and we can barely try to get through the day. So, I'm not blaming anybody. Only thing I'm asking is, are you finally going to step up and help us in this fight? Or are you going to remain silent? Hey, y'all back? Y'all still with me? Alright, cool. So, now, we get to have a little fun. We get to talk about some good stuff, man. Because I know, that other stuff, man, it was kind of dark. It was there. It was in your face, and it was a little somber. I know, but here we are, and I want to talk about some really great news actually that happened this week in hip hop, man. This one made me happy. Shouts out to Jay-Z for becoming hip-hop and rap's first billionaire, bruh. Billion, my G, billion. Remember when Trump was doing billions and billions and billions? Dawg, billions, son. Like, just saying it's fun, but just thinking about it's even funner, or more fun. Whatever. God damn it, it is amazing. Like, my man's is out here, the ultimate hustler, man. And I mean that with the utmost respect. So, here at Controversial Conversation and Open-Minded Productions, we just want to give a shout out and some appreciation on this momentous achievement. This is fucking amazing. Shouts out to you, bro. You deserve it. You cool. We rock with you over here, man. And speaking of Jay-Z, you know, there wouldn't be a Jay-Z, Sean Carter, Jigga story if it also wasn't another person a part of that. Not the billion, but the musical legacy. And if y'all don't know where I'm going with that, let me take y'all back. I believe the year is 1994. Yeah. Y'all know where I'm going with this. 1994, there was a young man by the name of Najir Jones who would soon become the author of hip-hop's greatest album. This 10-track journey through New York's hardened streets, used as a vehicle of the mind of a street poetic scholar at such a young age, this album was so far ahead of its time that we're still Still deciphering it. How do I know this to be true? Alright, y'all wanna hear some dope ass shit? Look, bruh. Harvard. Yeah, that old Ivy League ass school. Harvard is actually studying songs from Illmatic, like Ain't Hard to Tell, and things like that. Things like that isn't a song, but I'm just saying. Ain't Hard to Tell, New York State of Mind. They're literally dissecting the lyrics and explaining the values that they have culturally, poetically. I mean, it's some of the dopest shit I've ever seen, man. I am so glad that rap and hip hop is finally getting what it deserves, and that's the credit for being a top-notch genre of lyrical prowess. Now, not all of rap and hip hop is that. Okay, cool, that's fine. Not every country person was Hank, you know what I'm saying? So let's stop trying to make it seem like just because y'all got folks like Lil Yachty and Uzi and all these other foolish ass and all these other kids out here making certain type of music, that doesn't mean that that's a representation of what all rap and hip hop is. And look no further than, like I said, Nas's 1994 shit. Man, an addict, bruh. An addict. I love this shit, man. I do. Just being able to sit here and just think about like just dope ass albums and just talk about them and stuff like that. But there is an album that I went back recently and listened to, and it's got me thinking about some stuff in a different way. So one of my favorite rappers right now, probably will always be, his name is King Crooked, and I believe he's from Long Beach, California. One of the greatest writers I think I've ever heard in anything. It doesn't matter if it's, novels or scripts or whatever. I mean, his writing is phenomenal. King Crooked is like one of the dopest individuals that's out there, but his writing is just so far ahead of so many other people, it doesn't even make sense. But I was listening to his Good vs. Evil album, going back over it, and basically it's an allegory. He has a character who's basically fighting an empire, and this empire is, well, basically Trump. That is the allegory, and Trump's army, the MAGAs, things like that. And it got me thinking, there's a lot of people that I know that are heavily influenced by Trump's rhetoric and believe a lot of the things that he says, support a lot of his policies that tend to try to disenfranchise minorities, but are also some of the biggest champions of hip-hop. They attempt to try to somehow circumnavigate their way into hip-hop, and I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me. I think that if you're going to support some shit that completely contradicts what we're trying to accomplish, then you're wrong. Anyways, we about to wrap this up in a minute, man. Like I said, Nas, Illmatic, Jay-Z, 1 billion, hip-hop, still the motherfucking greatest. And we back. Yeah. Real talk. I know this episode's been a little different. Been a little down, a little dark, depressing. And that's not my intention. And it's not my intention to make that the theme or the tone of conversations going forward. I did feel that the things I wanted to discuss this week didn't really require a whole bunch of, laughing and having fun about it, because these are serious topics that really need to start having a more nationwide discussion, or at least in the first instance of mental health in the Black community, a community-wide conversation. But yes, definitely after seeing Central Park 5 and just knowing these stories like Khalif Browder and stuff of that nature, just knowing how people are getting lost in the system, Black and brown people, it's definitely time to do something, but it's also not a laughing matter. But I am the jokester, so I will continue to try to at least end it on a little bit of a lighter note, y'all. So now I am more than sure you have seen this book sitting here this whole goddamn time. Now, this book right here is not what I thought it was based off of the title. You see, the title is Why I Am Not a Christian. And I was like, oh shit. This is about to be mean. This is about to be horrible. He about to dig into these folks, man. Oh, this is gonna be good. But I was wrong. Yeah, I was wrong. It was actually a really, really well thought out set of essays explaining what he believed to be what a Christian was based off of his experience, his wisdom, his knowledge, his interpretation of the text, and also his interactions with people who claim to be Christian. And then basically saying why he felt A, they weren't Christian, B, why he wasn't Christian, and why Christian isn't technically the greatest thing to aspire to be. This book has taught me all kinds of different things. It helped me to understand concepts like just because something's preposterous doesn't mean that it's false. It taught me to understand what an unfalsifiable hypothesis was. It was very, very instrumental in getting me to kind of start finding an interest in philosophical debates and philosophical inquiries, basically. So Bertrand Russell himself is a very, very, very prolific writer. The late Bertrand Russell, I would say, is a very, very, very prolific writer, philosopher, or arithmetician. But but yeah, and like I said, these essays in here, man, are just phenomenal. They're really, really, really well written, and you can tell the time that he takes to contemplate and meditate upon each position, that he's presenting is definitely well thought out. I don't really know how else to really fucking say it. It's brilliant, and we're just being honest. So yeah, man, book of the week. Go check it out. Definitely. Not to convert anybody, not to try to get y'all over to a side of militant atheism or anti-theism or anything of that nature, just to get another side of the story. Speaking of religion, people who suck. Yeah, this week we're gonna do somebody that you probably never would have thought of just being a dirtbag. Mother Teresa. I know y'all are, what? What she did? Well, it's not necessarily what she did, it's more about what she didn't do. I can't really put it into words as eloquently as the late, great, brilliant Christopher Hitchens. I'll give you just a quick little quote from something that he's written, and it kind of sums up a little bit more about why she's not as great as she's revered. So basically he says, she spent her life opposing the only known cure for poverty, which is the empowerment of women and the emancipation of them from livestock version of compulsory reproduction. And she was a friend to the worst of the rich, taking misappropriated money from the atrocious de Valliere family in Haiti, whose rule she praised in return, and from Charles Keating of the Lincoln Savings and Loan. Where did that money and all the other donations go? The primitive hospice in Calcutta was as run down when she died as it always had been. She preferred California clinics when she got sick herself, and her order always refused to publish any audit. Basically, she was preaching a certain type of lifestyle of suffering, and that's the greatest thing that you can do, while simultaneously hypocritically receiving treatment and other things of that nature that she was refusing others to accept. She is not the saintly woman that we believe her to be. And whether you want to hear it from me, or from the late great Chris Hitchens interviews and articles, or the countless other people out here who are starting to actually write about it, it's true. And just because it's controversial doesn't mean it's something we shouldn't talk about. So, this week, on people who suck, I ain't gonna call it that, but that woman, Mother Teresa, I want y'all, that's what I want y'all to do. Alright, you know what? I ain't give y'all no task this week. Last week I told y'all to give me y'all top 10 hip-hop rappers and then your top 5 white boys. And basically this week, what I want y'all to do is to go research Mother Teresa, and then in the comments, tell me what y'all found out about her. Yeah. So I don't technically have a feel-good story, but I do want to kind of talk about something. So within the Central Park 5, a lot of the things that were kind of overshadowed was the mothers and what they also had to go through. I can't imagine feeling that helpless, knowing that your child is being persecuted for something they have not done. There's no way you can help them, and all they can do is cry for you. The strength that these mothers had to endure to continue to get up every day and fight for their children is something that should not be overlooked within this story. Hell, the plight of black mothers in America, not disrespecting or negating black fathers, but the plight of black mothers in America is something that should stop being overshadowed. So, I want to thank y'all once again for dealing with everything that I've been going through and projecting onto y'all through my my deepest thoughts and my deepest angers and things of that nature. I just want to thank y'all for sticking with it. And I promise, next week's going to be a little bit better as far as the tone. We're going to be a little bit happier. What we going to talk about? Who the fuck knows? What's Fuckboy 45 going to do, huh? Speaking of him, you know what? Nah, we ain't going to finish it. Nah. Hell no. Ain't no way I can talk about Central Park 5 and completely forget about what y'all's dickhead in chief, Fuckboy 45, did during that time. This asshole, this motherfucker, literally, what is it, $85,000 that he tried to spend, or at least did spend, and got a fucking ad taken out in the New York Times saying, get the death penalty for these kids who didn't even do this shit. Bruh, Trump, you have been a fucking piece of shit for so damn long, bruh. That was 89. It's 2019. 30 years later, and you are still that dog whistling motherfucking piece of shit, bruh. So you know what? Any mistake that you make, we're on you. We're here for it. This is controversial conversation, bruh. You know, a lot of people have been giving you a pass. Not here. That shit that you pulled, bruh, that showed us who you really were. And the people that support you, well, that shows who they really are. You see, you can definitely love your country, support your country, but oppose your government and oppose your president. Y'all have got patriotism and nationalism construed, misconstrued, conflicted, fucked up. How about that? So, as I was saying, Fuckboy 45 will never get a pass on this show, and his name will not be spoken on this show because he does not deserve that. But who does deserve to have their name on this show is Yusef, is Antron, is Kevin, is Corey, and is Raymond. And these are the Central Park 5. Know their name, know their story, and know that it could happen to any other black and brown child. Anyways, y'all. Regardless of how you feel, I still love y'all. And if there's anything that I need y'all to do, is I need y'all to be good. And I need y'all to be great. One love. Just a Bay.